So what we've done is we took 120 grams of daytime strains, and we poured this pure grain out, or pure, it's called culinary solvent. It's 190 proof, non-denatured, so you can drink it if you wanted to. We've soaked the material in it, the cannabis material in it, for about 30 minutes. You can see all the floaters. So one of the tricks to this, so you don't get a lot of chlorophyll, is you freeze the cannabis and you freeze the alcohol for at least 4 hours prior to doing this. And for some reason, when you have the frozen cannabis and the frozen alcohol, you don't get the chlorophyll extraction. And if you notice, this has got a very light green color to it, so it has taken very little chlorophyll out. So we've soaked it for about 30 minutes now. Now we're just going to pour it through a strainer.
Look at that pretty green. This is gorgeous.
Get all that on there. Okay, we're just going to spread it around a little bit.
Well, it's a bit late now, but you might have mentioned that you mushed it around a bunch.
Oh, yeah.
Alcohol.
Oh, you want to say that?
Yeah, so one of the things you do while it's soaking is you come around every 5 or 10 minutes. I've got a nice little bamboo spoon here, and I stir it and mash it up to try to break up. If you notice, it's not in buds anymore. It's pretty much all busted apart. So that just gives you more contact area for the alcohol to work to extract the oils and stuff that you're trying to get. So I just get it in here, kind of stir it around a little bit. You can hear, you'll hear it stop dripping after a bit. And then I'm just going to take a small amount of alcohol, fresh alcohol, and just pour it over the top. Just rinsing it, just to get all the last of the really good stuff out. Okay, so we're just going to let this drain off a little bit. I kind of stir it around, because I don't know if you can hear it, but you'll hear the alcohol draining down. And the idea is just to get as much of the alcohol out of the material as you can. I try not to squeeze it too much because I don't want to get a bunch of chaff and stuff down through the screens. But
And what kind of strainer are you using?
this is I can't remember what mesh it is. It's a honey strainer for straining honey. I just happen to have it because I raise bees. So you can see I'm still getting quite a bit of little alcohol out of there when I shake it. So we're going to let it set for another minute or two. Alcohol in the bucket. You see it does have a little green tinge to it. I'm going to get this outside. All right. So now we have our liquid. This is our alcohol that's been soaked and strained. So this has all the good stuff from the cannabis in it. The cannabis goes out to feed the chickens, so we have very happy chickens. And now we're going to move on to getting ready to distill. This is a simple water distiller that I bought off of Amazon. It's electric, so there's no open flame, no sparks, no fire, because you are dealing with 190 proof alcohol. You can blow yourself up really easy if you don't do it. I also have a fan running, and I also do it in my shop that's not very thin, very airtight. So I just put a couple of sticks across. I've got a Melita coffee filter holder, Melita coffee filters. This is the most time consuming part of the whole process, the second most time consuming. And then I just pour the alcohol through the filters. So we've strained all of our alcohol out into our distillation apparatus. This is simply an electric water distiller. I got it off of Amazon for about 30 bucks. The reason I use it is it's electric. There's no fire, no flame, no way to blow myself up while I'm extracting. And the good part about this is by using this, I'm going to cook the alcohol off. I'm able to recapture it and use it for another extraction later on down the road. So you don't get 100% of it back. We get somewhere between 50 and 60% back, but it's better than nothing. So the alcohol's in here now.
How many filters did you use?
And when we were filtering, it took about 6 filters, 6 or 8 Melita filters. What size are these? These are the number 4s, what I use. And just the little Melita coffee, 1 cup coffee thing. So this is one of the parts that takes the longest, is getting the filtering done. Now we're just going to plug our still in, make sure everything's going. And this is going to come to a boil. This is the condensing unit. It just sits on the top.
Wow.
Like that. Just uses air. It's got a little fan in it, and you can see the coils inside. And it'll take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes to actually start dribbling some alcohol out.
Oh, so we need to do it from this side so we
Yeah.
can see.
Once it does, you got about a 20-minute wait.
Okay, well, we'll come back in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is an update on the tincture making process. You can see my MacGyver husband, Bill, put the little plastic cup around it to keep the air from the fan from blowing on it, but it is dripping as we speak. You can see the tincture, look at that. Or no, that's the alcohol actually. That's the alcohol. And look at it, it's dripping. And where does the tincture end up?
In the big pot.
So the tincture ends up in the big pot. So we will check in when it is complete so we can show you what that looks like.
Okay. So you can see that our alcohol production is slowing down. You get a little stream now, then it'll go back to a dribble. If you come over here and we lift the top off, you'll see that we're down to almost nothing. Okay? You can see we're still smoking some alcohol off, but the trick now is to get it just right. And it's just a matter of just kind of fussing with it. So when the bubbles almost stop, you can see a lot of those bubbles, that's the alcohol smoking off. Because the boiling point of alcohol is a lot lower than the oil. You can see how it's getting thicker. So at this point I tend to want to watch it, let it cook off. And then here in about, see how it's just getting almost all frying, like it's frying. And look out. We're almost there. Okay, move back. We're done. Then you pour it into a jar.
Is there like some magic thing that cues you that it's done? I mean, what are the indicators for you that
The alcohol slows down, and I lift the lid and I check. So you'll see in this jar now, you see you've got oil and water. The two things that you have.
And
So-
about how much time has gone by?
It's 4:15. So we distilled for at least an hour,
Okay.
hour and a half.
Okay.
So, and because we used 95 proof, 195 proof versus 200, we had 5% water.
Mm-hmm.
So that, if you look at this jar, you'll see it on the top of that. Now, normally what Susan will do with this is she'll take it and put it in the Vitamix and just crank it up, and it gets hot enough, it'll smoke that water off.
Mm-hmm.
I could cook it to get all the water off, but then end up with that goo in the here.
Right. It wouldn't
like
pour
Rick
out.
Simpson oil. So I find it easier for me to get it out of here and let her take it from there, and it'll separate out. And you can put it in a separation funnel. I have one. You can put it in and drain it out, or you can just evaporate it off, because the oil underneath is very stable at this point. 99% of the alcohol is out of it. Probably 100% of the alcohol is out of it. So it's just you've got water and cannabis oil.
Okay.
And that is how you do it.
Do you like doing
Distillation.
Hi, it's Susan again. So now we just took the tincture out of the distiller and we put it in the Vitamix. It doesn't look like much right now, but this is enough to make probably, I'm guessing, 16 ounces of tincture.
That's mixed with the MCT oil, right?
Yeah,
that
so
you're
when
going to add.
So what we're going to do though first is we're going to blow off the rest of the alcohol. So I'm just going to put it in the Vitamix and let it spin. The spinning action will blow off the rest of the alcohol, and then we'll add some MCT oil in the next step. Can you believe it, guys? Got 120 grams of cannabis and a half a gallon of alcohol, and this is what we got. But don't fret. This is a lot of medicine, you guys. A lot of medicine. So what we're going to do is we are going to, what I like to do anyway, is what we do is we take the tincture. What I like to do, guys, is since this is a home operation, when we used to make it for dispensaries, we'd get to this point and then we'd have it tested at a lab to see how strong it was. But we're not doing that anymore because that's an extra expense, and I've done it enough times where I kind of have a pretty good idea about it. So what I like to do is I like to take my MCT oil and then I like to fill my mason jar with it, with the tincture. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back into the blender. Then I'm going to get a good blend going with the MCT oil and the tincture. So guys, so what we did was we added some MCT oil to the tincture, and it's got a lot of air in there right now, so that's why it's not clear. Actually, you know what I should do so I can get exact measurement is 4 of us went in on this together. So what I am going to do is I'm going to take it down to a cup because it'll be easier to measure. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1/4 of a cup, because there's 4 of us going in on this batch, is I'm going to do 1/4 of a cup in each one of these bottles. Okay, so then we had a cup that we were able to figure that out. Okay, so our batch made a cup and almost a half. So that would be another 1/8 of a cup per person for some. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to put it back in the Vitamix. The concentrated, that's very, very concentrated. If you used any of that, you would discover your ceiling and how amazingly intricate it is. So what we're gonna do, now that we did that, what we're going to do is now we're gonna add another cup of MCT oil. And we're going to mix that. Now this is where we get to play. What flavor do you like, Alice? You want lemon, ginger, orange, tangerine.
Yeah, the orange sounds good.
Cinnamon.
No cinnamon.
No cinnamon? Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to put some essential oil, some tangerine for Alice. It smells so divine. Okay, this is Alice's tincture.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So as you can see, she ended up with over a cup
It's a lot.
of tincture. And we're going to put it in here. And what she can do is she can play with the dose. So she can use a dropper and she can figure out exactly what the dose is for her. She can say, okay, I'm going to try 3 drops. And then in 15 minutes, if she doesn't feel anything, she goes, I'm going to try 3 more drops. The usual recommended dose is a 1/2 dropper to start. But this stuff is probably going to be pretty powerful, so I'm guessing you might want to go slow.